right. Hello, we are live. It's Sunday, June 26th, but these readings will be timeless. So if you're watching the YouTube replay, hello. We are just going to pretty much hang tight till people start showing up and TikTok starts driving people to the live. So how is everybody doing this morning? How are you guys doing? Hey, Starlight Worker, good to see ya. I feel like you're always like the first person on here, or one of them. How's it going? Okay. Hey, Marina, good to see ya. How are you doing? Kimmy, good morning. How's everybody doing? How's everybody's lives? So we're gonna start with a general reading and just a moment. Hey, that means a lot, Starlight Worker. I appreciate that. I know I've been going live maybe a bit past 11. They told me to go live at 11:11 today, so that's why I didn't go live at 11. Hey, Destiny, good to see you. Hey, my reflection. Alina Stacy, right? Hi. Prince Priestess, amazing to see you. How are you all doing? Amazing to see all you guys here. Okay, so we're gonna start with, I'm gonna take a second to see what would be the highest and best way for me to start this out here. So we're gonna jump into general readings. I just have a general, I have some channel messages for the general. You guys, whoever's seeing this, whenever you're seeing this, is timeless for you when you're seeing it. I'm going to roll through the channel messages here. Of course, my spirit guides, the angels, and source will bring through any additional information in addition to that while I'm doing that. And then we'll jump into just readings for the zodiac signs by element, essentially. So we're going to be doing that. So jumping into the first messages here for the general here, and it's for you when you see it. Again, if you're watching on YouTube after this, after I do this live, it's timeless. The first thing they really showed me was lightning. The tarot card they showed me along with this when I got the message, I didn't pull tarot cards. I don't really have my tarot deck right next to me, but it was the Chariot, interestingly enough. And pretty much what they said is like, you know, they showed me lightning and they just said things are moving forward at lightning speed or will be soon. They also said victory is ahead, but you have to be patient. So, if you've been waiting for something to move ahead, that's going to be moving forward soon is one thing I'm hearing. Especially regarding success. They're almost showing me, let me get this visual a bit more clearly. Just sit with it a second before I give you what they're showing me here. Like they're almost showing me things crawling, and it's going to be a little bit different for each of you. You're in different spaces, but they showed me this really interesting visual. It was like a horse with like a wagon behind it. Well, I mean the chariot, it makes sense, but it was weird. It was like this kind of dull like forest, and I don't know why there was mulch everywhere. That was a little bit of a weird detail, but it just seemed kind of like winding, or like sometimes it'd be really fast, sometimes it'd be kind of bogged down in this journey. And one of the messages is like, you're gonna get there. For whoever needs to hear that, their victory is ahead, like you're gonna get there. You just might have to be patient while you've been going through this journey. And they keep giving me the words like a long journey. So some of you might have been on like a long journey towards success. And that is a further message in this general reading as well that's gonna be coming through that I remember channeling through as well. But you're gonna make it, essentially. But if things have been slow, they're going to pick up, which is kind of the main thing with that. So they're showing me the Chariot once again. So I want to just make sure I'm getting all the messages for you guys regarding that. So give me 1 second to see what they say about the Chariot. Okay, one of the messages they're showing me, interestingly enough, is like, if you're not sure where you're going, the universe is sure where you're going. And the reason I'm saying that is like, they were showing me the Chariot, and you know, the Chariot is usually pulled by two Sphinxes on the card, but the Sphinxes were they're not really like, the driver's not really in control in the Chariot. Like they're kind of just going whatever way they want to go, essentially. So you might not think you're headed to victory, but the universe well, the universe, I don't know if the universe thinks so much as it just knows everything, but the universe knows you are essentially. So even if you feel like your chariot veers off the side of a road or just takes some really weird winding trail, or you're just not sure where you're headed, the universe knows where you're headed. And a year from now, you'll be seeing some type of success is one thing I'm getting. They said you'll be successful. I think the time frame will be different for each of you, but you'll be seeing some type of success a year from now is what I'm getting, most of you. There's a little bit more with this lightning message here. They are showing me, let me see here, the Tower tarot card as well. I wouldn't freak out about this yet. I haven't gotten the message on it. So what does the Tower mean for you guys at this time? The message for you guys is like sometimes the Tower is what moves you forward. Sometimes that destruction is exactly what you need to succeed. So if there's a Tower moment in your life or has been recently, don't write it off as a bad omen or as like, oh, my life is falling apart. Sometimes just a little bit of crumbling, maybe around the edges of your life, or just one key thing falling apart is exactly what you need to build your life back better than ever before. And that's where we're all headed, is a better life essentially. And it might not look like that. I know with recent events, certain things in recent events and in the news, but that's where we're headed as a collective. That's where you guys are headed is one thing I'm getting. So don't discount that things can get better, even if one thing like crumbles in your life. It doesn't mean your whole life is gonna suck. It just means like maybe you need a week of repair for some of you is something I'm hearing, or maybe that's just your kick in the pants to get going and get a move on. So the next message I have for you was like, I know I just got a message about things moving forward at lightning speed, especially externally, and you're gonna be seeing that pretty soon, kind of like a jolt to the system. But the next message I had for you guys was actually like regarding the inner world, a slowdown to the inner world. So they just said, be sure you are being still at night and taking time for yourself and taking time to be yourself. I'm gonna ask them to explain that last part as well. It's important that you're taking time for stillness and like either slowing your thoughts or just slowing yourself down at the end of the day is something they're talking about, so that you can rest properly. And even if things are moving forward really quickly externally, one of the messages is it might be important to find like a certain slowness or stillness in yourself. One, so that you can process things more readily and you can be more present and grounded and aware. But two, so you're taking the right actions as you see them and as they show up. That's one of the messages that they're talking about as being important just for this next little phase whenever you're seeing this. Just make sure you're slowing down, and not your outer circumstances, but you. As far as taking time to be yourself, part of the message, the words they're showing me to explain this for starters, there's gonna be more, is enjoy life, essentially, is what they were saying. So it's important to enjoy the things you enjoy, and also kind of to roll with the punches with that as well, because you might wake up one day and realize you don't like something you used to really enjoy. Like maybe you used to really like alcohol and you used to drink wine every night, and then, you know, as maybe you have a spiritual awakening and then you find like, this doesn't do it for me. You know, and that's okay. Roll with those punches and, you know, let yourself be you as you evolve, and don't feel like you need to be stuck as an old version of yourself to be yourself. Like they want me to say it. It reminds me of something. There's this it's from a modality called Access Consciousness, and one of the co-founders, I believe he's one of the co-founders, Dr. Dane here, one thing he says is like, when it's being you, it's active, it's like in the moment, it's progressing, it's not always like, it's not who I was 5 years ago or 1 year ago or even 5 seconds ago. It's like, who are you now as part of the act of being you. And so that's one, just for some reason, that's something they want to remind you guys about or talk about while we're doing this. The other message with taking time to be yourself, I want to see what they have to say about that. And they want to move along soon, but I'll see if they explain it a little bit further so it makes more sense to you guys here. I think it really, one of the main messages was taking time to enjoy yourself, but the way they're kind of explaining it further is like not just giving yourself away to a person or a job or a career and like losing yourself in that, but making sure you're enjoying a balanced life where you can be yourself in all of it and aren't just at the whim of other people, and other people could be customers, other people could be, your spouse or significant other. Other people could be your family, like your parents or your friends. It's important that you're being you, and the world needs that, and that's what's going to change the world more than trying to be what everyone else wants you to be. And ironically, people will probably, maybe some people initially won't want you to be yourself, or they might be like, no, I want you to be what I want you to be. But at the end of the day, most people the world over would benefit more from you being yourself, both energetically with how that impacts the collective as above, so below, but also who you'd be in their lives, at least the right people for you, would benefit way more from you being yourself than being a puppet or being someone who dulls themselves down for others, is what I'm hearing. The next message they're bringing through, and this was kind of something that started to come through when I was talking about the first message, was they just said Rome will eventually be built, and it was kind of a spin-off of words with that phrase. Rome wasn't built in a day, essentially, if that makes sense. The message for you guys is Rome will eventually be built. So if you are waiting for things in your life to move forward, they will. Be patient. And of course, you know, there's that message that was like things are going to be moving forward at lightning speed and victory is ahead, which kind of reminds me of the Eight of Wands from Tarot as well, as something they're showing me as I'm bringing that through. Beyond that, though, yeah, if you are waiting for things to happen to move forward, they will. Be patient, but no, you will get there. It's kind of just a reminder, like, I know sometimes when I'm doing these readings, it's not about this in general, it's for you when you're seeing this, but there's that quote, like, be patient, Rome wasn't built in a day. But it's kind of just that pep talk, like, hey, things will eventually get there. Like, if there's mountains to climb metaphorically, like in business and health and other things you're dealing towards, like, just because it might take a while or it has taken a while doesn't mean it won't happen. And the other message they have is, like, you have the rest of your life. I know mostly all of us want to be living our dream life tomorrow or next year, but sometimes it takes 5 years, or sometimes it takes a while for the universe to bring you through the lessons or the healing or things you need to have what you want. Or sometimes there's something better for you, that the universe is leading you towards, and what you want won't even be what you want in 5 years. Or maybe you'll have it and realize it's not that great. Or maybe you'll have it and then realize there's a whole other thing you want on the other side of that. So one of the messages is you have your whole life. That Rome will eventually be built. Rome was built, even if it wasn't in a day. So I would keep trucking in regards to all those things. And another message coming through at this time regarding that is, like, don't give up. Just because something takes 10 years doesn't mean don't do it. It reminds me of something I heard my mom say, actually, and it's probably, I don't know if it's a common quote or not. I think I've heard other people say it too, but because she was kind of older and she was looking to get a college degree to get into, she wanted to become a social worker, essentially. And as the story goes, I think one of my mom's friends told me this. My mom was like, yeah, I want to get a degree. I don't know, it's going to take X amount of years. I'm already, 40 something or however old she was. She was probably she was in her 40s. And then I think what she ended up telling her friend was like, what I realized is, like, that time's going to pass anyways. Like, that X amount of years, 5 years, however many years is going to pass anyways. I might as well, like, have that time pass and have a degree, is the way she spun it. And it's the same thing for you guys, is what I'm getting, like, in business and health. It's like, that time's going to pass anyways. So you might as well do what you want to do with it, or move towards what you want to have in the end goal. So I don't know who needed to hear that, but there's that. The next message here, let me see what they want me to do. They keep showing me seashells as well as I've been jumping into this reading, and for some reason the word that I'm getting with the seashells is to listen, interestingly enough. So let me see what that means for you guys regarding the seashells and listen here. I've been getting this message for a while, but I'm going to bring it through because I'm getting it again. And it's just this message that the universe is calling everyone in new directions, or different directions, is something I'm getting. So if your path takes like a left turn or like a swerve, like, trust that. It's the right move, essentially. And maybe there's a dead end ahead if you'd kept going straight, if that makes sense. Or maybe the road is out or the bridge is out or something like that. But I would really be, and I'll try to explain how to do this as well, listening to what the universe is trying to tell you and listening to yourself. Because because I get this weird phrase, like everyone's being steered a little bit differently right now. So let me see how they want to explain this a bit more here. If you're listening and paying attention to the universe, to yourself, to the roadblocks you're encountering, to your energies, to how your gut instinct is telling you how you're about, what your gut instinct is telling you about people or other things, you probably are going to be steered in a new direction or in a slightly different one. But if you're listening, you're going to get to exactly where you want to go. And it kind of reminds me of like that being you changing the world, being you message. And it's like something you keep up with, moment to moment. It's not something where you're stuck on a you from 5 years ago that you're trying to be. It's like, who are you now? It's kind of like listening in the moment, like now, moment to moment as well. Because, those signals are going to come at the right time for you to change course, or for you to do something different, or for you to get the messages you need to move in a different direction. So I'd be staying present and listening and not being surprised if your path swerves is one thing I'm getting. But I feel like you'll love it, honestly. And sometimes those swerves are like the best surprises, and maybe you thought you were up for a boring journey and all of a sudden it's exciting and renewed and fun. So it could be a very positive thing. The next thing they showed me was horse, like horse spirit animal. And the message I thought was pretty good. But what they said here is collective overcoming. Horse spirit animal can be about overcoming obstacles, freeing yourself from danger, and getting you to your destination no matter the journey. There's a collective overcoming regarding anything that's been in the way of you healing and getting to where you need to go. Horse spirit animal is important right now. So sorry, I'm rereading it because how sometimes you read something and you just kind of you're not even processing what you're reading. You're just reading it. So I need to take a second to refamiliarize myself with this message here and see what they say about it. Yeah, and one of the things about horse spirit animal is I remember there was a reading from a reader I got. A reading from a reader that I got, and this reading, horse spirit animal, did show up. And for her, what horse spirit animal meant when it showed up was, and it can mean a bunch of different things when it shows up, when I'm doing a reading or when someone else is, but for her, what horse spirit animal was about was like when there's just, you're in a circumstance or you feel stuck and you're just like, I really need to get out of this, or I need to get to this destination, but I'm not sure how I'm going to get there. Like for her, horse spirit animal would show up in the reading, and the person listening or there for the reading would hop on, and it would just take them to where they needed to go. And for her experience with that, she would say, when horse shows up, usually if there's an obstacle or something, I don't know how it happens, but in just the craziest way, they're out of that stuck situation and where they need to be. And that's kind of similar to the message I'm getting for you guys, or that's exactly the message I'm getting for you guys actually with this message, where it's really overcoming obstacles collectively. And you might not know how you're going to get to a place you want to get to, or how you're going to get out of a situation, or how you're going to overcome an obstacle, whether it's around or under or over or through. And it's going to be a bit different for each of you, but there might be some crazy circumstances that jut you out of predicaments or get you free of a job, if it's a job you feel stuck in or you need out of, essentially, or that just change things for you. And it does kind of remind me of tower moments a little bit, but I feel they're actually going to be pretty gentle as opposed to being super brutal, like some of you may have experienced in the past, is something I'm getting. So if you feel there are just obstacles and you just don't see your way out, or you feel you're in danger and you're not sure how to free yourself from danger, you're going to be getting to your destination. And for some reason they're reminding me of The Hobbit. And if you're familiar with the novel or the movie, I know a lot of people didn't like the Hobbit movies, but it reminds me of when, I think it was Bilbo in the Hobbit, and I just remember this scene where they were in these caves, under this mountain, and there's all these goblins and stuff, and they're just kind of in this predicament, but one way, shape, or form, just the circumstances align for them all to get out of that cave. And I know at that point the next chapter in the book is out of the frying pan and into the fire, but eventually they get out of that, and they're clarifying that's not you guys. For you guys, it's not out of the frying pan and into the fire. It's if there's an unsurmountable obstacle, you're going to be getting through it some way, somehow. And you know, like in those stories, like Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, like they do get to their destination, like no matter how crazy and no matter what shows up, like they get there. And it's going to be the same for you is what I'm getting. And that's why I'm mentioning that. And maybe that'll be a sign for you along your journey. Those stories, The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. The next message I have for you, they showed me a unicorn. I think it's funny that the horse shows up and then the unicorn showed up. It almost looks like they're kind of showing it almost like evolving, the horse evolving into a unicorn. But the message with unicorn was a bit different. It was about collective magic multiplication. Pretty much what they said is there's going to be more magic than ever before. I feel like I say things about magic frequently, but here we are. And they just said there's going to be more magic than ever before, and things are going to be manifesting very quickly. Be patient with yourself as you learn to work with more magic. So when magic uprises, sometimes we have to, let me see what they want to say about this. If things start manifesting really quickly for you, you might have to get used to it. Like if you start to, what's the best way to describe this here? If you start to manifest things effortlessly, one, you might start to have a freak out of like, oh, am I manifesting something bad? Two, you might start to realize like how powerful you are and start to just have to adjust with how quickly things are showing up. Or if you're just realizing that like you think about something and it happens, or you're focusing on something and then something about that shows up, like there's just gonna be more magic like that, like synchronicity, intuition, things manifesting. There's a whole list I could go through, and I don't want to limit it to just that list either. But there might be a bit of an adjustment period if you're realizing more magic with you and your life and your circumstances, or more manifestation or anything like that. But eventually, once you acclimate, it gets easier to create a better life, and that's part of why magic is rising on Earth, is one thing I'm getting. The next message I have for you was just about rapid growth for everyone here. And they're just kind of clarifying. I feel like I brought that through as a message for like the springtime in general, but I feel like it seems to have just carried on. And what they're saying now is this year is about rapid growth and hitting new levels, and in good ways. So there's going to be a lot of rapid growth this year for you, whatever year you're seeing this in, but for most of you it's going to be this year probably, 2022. So there is also just a lot of rapid change and transition, and that can be part of the rapid growth. There's also just like a bevy of realizations, and maybe even you realizing you're not who you thought you were, or people around you transforming really rapidly, and maybe someone changes really quickly and then they're just out of your life, but then someone else new comes in like the next week or something like that. Like there's a lot of that going around is one thing I'm getting, and it's really just part of this transition that we're all feeling as a collective. And this kind of this light that's pouring through the earth and causing us to shift and grow and purge really quickly. So we are all changing really quickly. We're all growing really quickly is one thing I'm getting. But it's all getting us to new levels. And some of these messages all of the messages intertwine is what I'm hearing. Like collective magic multiplication and rapid growth. You know, we kind of just talked about two messages that are meant to enhance our lives in the future. Like these things kind of play into each other as well, is something I'm getting. I'm also getting a message about, you know, if you've been going through hard lessons, but let me get a message about that here. I feel like for some of you, if you've been going through really hard lessons, that's almost over. There's a message like hard lessons in life aren't like dark night of the soul maybe type stuff. It's not meant to last forever, and it won't. I feel like this one message I'm getting is like this year, whatever year you're seeing this, is going to lead to a lot of the endings of harsh lessons and a bit more of a transition into lights. And it might look really disconcerting, like wrapping up those cycles or those harsher lessons. But once they're done, and it's on to better. And there might be lessons in the future still, but a lot of you are going to get a reprieve between those lessons. And sometimes once the hard stuff is over, it's over. Like you won't go through it again. Like that was it. It kind of reminds me of like rags to riches kind of stories a little bit. I'm not promising that for you guys. I'm not saying that's what this is, but you know, like if someone's just like poor, and then they figure out how to make a lot of money, like they won't have to necessarily go through those lessons again because they've learned how to earn, grow, build, and keep wealth essentially. So like those lessons are behind them, and they went through what they needed to go through to grow and get to this place where they're, well, hopefully they're at least better at building wealth. I was going to say a better person, and I know wealth doesn't always translate to being a good person, but maybe in the future it will in some weird way. And the next message I have here, funny enough, talking about wealth, depending on some of you, it'll be different for each of you depending on that, and not everyone is envious of wealth, but they showed me green, but this time green was about envy, and I believe this came through on the Instagram timeless reading I did last week as well, something similar. It was about envy, but this is actually different now that I think about it. This message was, there's a lot of envy leaving the collective. So if you are feeling envy, you are likely purging, and of course, like, envy can show up for various circumstances, and sometimes it's here to teach us what's for us, and it's here to teach us, like, oh, I got really envious because XYZ person got this cool thing. Like, oh, maybe there's something in that for me where I need to change my life so I'm not jealous. But pretty much what they said here is, you are purging ancestral patterns and learning to own who you are so you are not envious. There is better on the way for everyone. So if you've been feeling more envy than usual and you're just like, what is going on? There is a bit of a collective purge around envy a little bit. And part of it is getting us, you know, if you've been feeling this, to change our circumstances so we have what we need and we feel content and happy. And again, like, besides this purge where envy is just starting to leave the collective more, it does kind of serve as a teaching thing sometimes, where it shows us where we need to change our lives or improve our circumstances. And that's kind of it for the collective reading, the general reading I had for everyone. That's the messages I had. So we're gonna move on to the signs, and I want to see if there's anything else they want to say to wrap that up for the general for everybody here. The last, maybe one of the last messages I'm getting for everyone here regarding this general portion of the live, at least, or this, you know, collective, was they're showing me ice, and they've been liking to use ice as a symbol sometimes in readings, just the past couple months, it seems, occasionally, at least for like 2 different readings I did. They didn't want me to say that, but I already said it, so sorry guys. Regarding ice though, I was getting a message of don't ice yourself. And part of that message is like, you know, part of that message is like getting out there and making things happen. Like, don't quit before you have the chance to even make things happen. Like, there is that quote, don't quit before the miracle occurs. Totally agree with that. At the same time, it's like, what's the best way to say this here? It's like, don't ice yourself before you have a chance to shine. Like, don't quit before you have a chance to put yourself out there, or don't quit before you even get the chance to see if something's going to work out or not. Like, go for it is one thing. It's just the words I'm hearing, whether that's a business or you doing social media, shooting your shot to get a relationship. You know, don't ice yourself before you even get a chance to like see if it's going to work, essentially is what I'm getting. So awesome. So that's that collective reading. Well, one more thing here. For some reason, there's just a message like, don't discount that good things can happen to you. They can happen to anyone. So we're going to move on to let me see what they want me to transition to here. We're going to move on to the fire signs. So this is going to switch it up a little bit. So if you have a sun, moon, or rising for the elements, then the reading is for you, essentially. So if you have a sun, moon, or rising fire sign, that this reading will be for you, essentially. And we're going to move through we're going to move to earth, we're going to move to air, we're going to move to water, and we're going to just see what comes through for you guys. I don't have this as pre-channel, like usually I have channel messages for everything. I did for the general, for the collective. I don't necessarily have as many for the elements here, so we're just gonna see what comes through, and if I have to grab a deck of cards, I will, depending on how this goes. So I'm gonna wave so I know when to timestamp it. So if you have a fire sign, sun, moon, or rising, this reading is for you. So as far as like the theme of these readings, it is kind of more just what do you need to know. I did try to do kind of a bit of a question of like, you know how sometimes you'll see different readings like, okay, different readings will be like, oh, what love is coming your way? Or different readings will be like, oh, like what's next in life? This one I did try to do like just a quick thing of like what would help you improve your life really quickly. I'm gonna include that if it comes through, but we'll see what they have to say, if they'll include that in each of the signs or not. Right now, they're kind of just saying, you know, it's gonna be what do you need to know right now, essentially. And they'll add in whatever they're supposed to add in. And it seems like they want to keep it a secret from me until I get into it. So if you have a fire sign, sun, moon, and rising, this is for you when you see it, whether it's live now or on YouTube in the future. I did kind of just take a second they did give me a quick message for like when I asked like what is a theme for how to make their life better, the fire sign, sun, moon, and rising. Pretty much what I got was like they showed me prayer, like praying, but they also showed me purging. And there is one more thing here, and I'm going to ask them to describe it a bit more and explain it a bit more as well. One thing I would focus on is releasing, like especially like releasing the past, releasing old ideas, even like releasing where you thought you were going. If you thought you were going a particular direction and that like fell through, or like there's kind of some type of new path that might be presenting itself, I would just literally let go in general, and just kind of let the chips fall where they may, let things fall where they may, essentially, because you'll be led in the right direction. And sometimes clinging to what we think we want is like the one thing that hinders us. And not for all of you, but for most of you, that's one thing I'm getting might be something you're kind of going through. And even if maybe like you're mostly right with what you want, and that is mostly for you, maybe it needs to be a little bit different, and letting go will give it the room to adjust, or will give you the room for the ideas to pop in. Because they're almost showing like, you know, those toys that kids would have, and there's like a particular shape, and you have to match the shape with the shape. Otherwise it doesn't fit in the hole and you can't get it in the box or whatever. It wasn't exactly that. It was actually, they showed me more of like a cube of some sorts, and like this cube was like spinning, and it was more representing like your ideas, but like this cube kept spinning and you couldn't really like fit it into like, it didn't like quite fit, it didn't quite make sense. It was like you're kind of like grasping at straws a little bit, but what they're showing me is like if you let go a little bit, it kind of allows that cube to settle in the right position to like fit and to make sense, and for you to get the ideas, essentially. So that could be one way to improve your life. The other thing they showed me with like the prayer message, I want to see what's up with that one here. I would just literally be calling upon assistance from the angels more, from source in the universe. I feel like that would be weirdly helpful for you, but like doing it every day. And it could even be as simple as like, give me the ideas I need, or help me regarding this relationship, or help me regarding my direction. So it might sound, hopefully it doesn't sound trite, but let go and let God is kind of something that's coming to me as well for the fire sign, sun, moon, and rising. But a weird message, if you're willing to pray on things, I feel like things are going to shift for you. And sometimes it's like, I don't know, prayer is kind of an interesting word, because I know that can have a bit more of a Christian connotation. So, but for whatever reason, that's the way they presented the information for me today when I checked in. But I would be making asks of the universe, left and right. And if you're stuck on something, I'd literally just like pray on it. Ask the angels to help you, ask source to help you, ask the universe to help you, ask your spirit guides to help you, and just kind of let go and let things shift, essentially. And there's going to be more messages as well on how to help improve your life. Another message that did come through as well here, well, I'm going to sit with this and see where they want me to go here. Another message coming through right now, if you feel like the rewards for your efforts have been lacking, maybe you've been putting a lot of work into something and getting like nothing back, the rewards for your efforts are coming. So the other thing is they're showing like things drying up for you. So if you feel like things dried up for you, like regarding like things you were supposed to get, or like rewards in life, or rewards for putting in work into something, I get they haven't, they might have been delayed, but that serves a purpose. There's a reason you're being rerouted or delayed for these things. If you feel like you were supposed to get something by now and it didn't come in, or you've been waiting on certain rewards from something you've been putting effort into and they haven't showed up. I feel like this is about work. I don't think it's about relationships. I was going to say it could be about a relationship if you've been putting a lot of effort into a relationship. They're more focused on work for this message, though, is what I'd say regarding that one. The other message, like for everyone here, just patience would, I feel like I talk about patience all the time, and we kind of talked about it in the collective reading already, but for anyone new tuning in, or anyone who needs to hear it anyways, if this is on YouTube and you just clicked on fire signs instead of watching the whole general reading, the collective reading, patience is just kind of really important for everyone right now, and patience really pays off as something I'm getting as well. I wouldn't expect everything to pan out tomorrow, but if you're willing to give things like a year, I feel like you'd be surprised at how much progress you could make at the things you want to do or want to see in your life as well. The next message I have for you here, they just said there is a lot of release coming, and it's kind of funny because we just talked about release being something that would help you. But they also just said, and I already said this, but it's what I have here, so I'll read it again, and releasing the past would help you guys move forward in a better way. Calling in assistance from the divine more would be helpful for you guys as well. So that's kind of just what I already said. I think that was just them explaining the theme for how to make your life better. There was a message for the fire signs, sun, moon, and rising, like life really is turning around for you guys, like your life is going to turn around. I've been getting that for various people just over the past few months, I think starting in like March, but I'll bring it through as much as I need to bring it through. I'll bring it through as many times as it's coming through, essentially. But that is just kind of a what do you need to know. It's just like a message that's coming through for you guys as well. I also feel like if you feel like you guys have been stuck, like you're actually not stuck, sometimes you think you're stuck, but you're actually just being patient, or it's like you're supposed to. It's kind of like being in the doctor's office waiting for an appointment. Like you're in the appointment and you're waiting, and it's been like 40 minutes. You're not really stuck. You're just kind of waiting. And you know, sometimes that serves a purpose. For some reason, they want me to talk about this as well because it's jumping. It's something that's popping in as I'm talking about this. I remember one time I was just going through a lot in my life. And at this time my foot was like broken too. Like I had a whole issue with, I pretty much fell down the stairs. I sound like an old man, but I fell down the stairs and landed on my foot, and my foot broke essentially. So I had like it was at work, so I had a lot of follow-up appointments because, you know, one, the job was paying for it, but two, they like wanted to make sure they were on the ball and didn't get like a lawsuit probably from me. But I had a lot of checkups for my foot, and I remember one, like I just had a lot of other things going on in my life. Like it was definitely probably one of the worst periods of my life that I've experienced thus far. And I remember like sitting there waiting for a doctor it was it must have been at least like 20 minutes. I was already in the room. I was just sitting there waiting. But while I was waiting, like I just remember like watching my thoughts happening, and they were all just kind of like, there were a lot of just like different things kind of clicking into place. And just kind of like, it was almost like things were kind of coming together in my brain with my thoughts. And like what happened at the end was like, I remember just having this I feel like it was a healing realization, or like a really important realization, or something like was like put together. And right when it was put together, literally like right as I put it together, like a second later, the door opened and the doctor walked in for the appointment. So it's like sometimes when we're in these waiting games, you're not really stuck. It's just like you're processing something, you're integrating, you're putting something together. It's actually very important to have those periods of time. So what I just described might be just a way to get that message across. Like sometimes it really serves a purpose when you're stuck waiting, and there's a divine timing to it all as well. But if you're stuck, you're not actually stuck. I actually feel like you're growing. You're not stuck, you're growing. The next message I have for you guys, there is just for you guys, fire signs, sun, moon, and rising, like a massive shift is coming internally. There was also like, if you feel like there's an internal storm that's been brewing or that you go through, you might have to wait out like a bit of an internal storm. And you might even have an identity crisis is something I'm getting, or like, what do I want to do with my life kind of crisis. But for some reason, there is just a massive internal shift coming in for you guys. It's really an upshift essentially. So what else about that? It's just kind of like a message. You might not feel the same in a couple months. I think it's just a heads up, honestly, about that one. You might already feel it. I feel like it's kind of like a from the ground up kind of transformation. It's very inner, it's very internal. It's very internal world. So, and it sounds like, the way they're describing it is it's almost like it's like a major astrological transit. I'm not sure if there is one that's happening that's correlating with this. But it's like the internal world version of a major astrological transit, and like nothing's really the same is what I'm getting. That's kind of what you're going to be feeling. And they are saying more light, so I do feel like it does lead to you being more of the light, having more light in you, being more lights essentially. And you know, we are all the light is us, so it's never like you're not the light, but in the human form, bringing more light in can be disruptive if you're not prepared for it or haven't been imbibing light regularly as part of your metaphysical diet, I suppose you could say. But we are all being called to be the light, and I'm getting this pretty strongly for you guys as the fire signs, sun, moon, and rising. You guys are really being called to be the light, and it's kind of time to step up. So there might be some internal shifts to make room for that if you feel like you have darkness to release or anything like that is something I'm getting. And I don't think you need to worry about it. I don't think it's gonna be like terrible or anything, but that's just what I'm getting. But that might explain a bit more about the internal storm that they were talking about as well. The next message, there's a bit more on that last one. So they just want to stress not to worry. It's not gonna kill you or anything. It might not even be that disruptive to your daily life. It's just something you might be going through in the next few months from whenever you're seeing this. Next message I have here was just like a reminder to strike while the iron is hot. So if you feel like you have momentum in your life, keep going with that, like in a project or business, keep going with that momentum. If you feel like you have an opportunity, like strike at it. It's kind of important that you're poised to strike or like ready to go if an opportunity shows up and not just kind of resting on your laurels. And they're kind of showing me a cheetah, interestingly enough, to describe this. Like, you know, a cheetah in the wild kind of has to be ready to go after its prey, you know, when it has an opportunity to do so. Of course, there's always the time where the cheetah is supposed to be resting or supposed to be sleeping or doing whatever cheetahs do. I don't know. I'm not a cheetah expert necessarily, but there's a certain time where the cheetah has to be poised and ready to hunt. Otherwise, it misses its opportunity for food and it dies. I don't think you guys are gonna be dying. I don't think it's gonna be that drastic. It's more just like maybe keep your hat on the swivel for just opportunities, and don't hesitate too much if a good one shows up. Of course, like check with yourself, like, is this right for me? Does it feel right for me to take this opportunity? Ask for a sign, do your thing, whatever you do, but be prepared, I guess, is one of the messages for opportunity. And don't discount it if it shows up, even if it seems small. If it's positive, just take it. It's like, what do you have? Some of you might have things to lose, but I'm also getting the phrase, like, what do you have to lose? Is something I'm hearing on that one. Another message for you guys, fire signs, sun, moon, and rising. You guys are going to be feeling better in a month from whenever you're seeing this is something I'm getting. So if you've been feeling weird or anything, you're going to be feeling better in a month, which is good here. There's just like a lot being worked out of your system. It almost reminds me of a detox of sorts, like especially like energetically. So you might be releasing a lot. I already said this. You might be having a lot of realizations, but what else for you guys here? I would just know you are going through some type of detox, but it's more like, it might be literal and physical, but it's more like spiritually, or it's more energetically and emotionally as well. Especially like things people have said to you in the past that like were detrimental to you, or just like didn't sit right with you, or like just stuck with you in a negative way, or gave you a negative self-image. Like a lot of that is purging, and that's kind of what you're being asked to release, is what they're clarifying as we got further into this reading as well. So especially things regarding your self-image where it's like, oh, success isn't for me, or oh, I'll always be a little baby, or you know, or things like that. It's not necessarily true, and you can have success, and like you can be a grown adult if you feel like you're just a baby that always needs to be taken care of. Like you can take care of yourself. So things like that is essentially what I'm getting. But that's a lot of what I have for the fire signs, sun, moon, and rising. I'm gonna see if there's any additional informations. They want me to pull a Kali Oracle card. These cards are really interesting to read, but I'll just do it because they're telling me to do it. So I'm just going to read this intuitively and based on the channel messages I'm getting. So we have Kala Dara. Don't ask me what that means, but it's just kind of a depiction of Kali. She has the moon and these planets behind her. And the first word I get with this card is shifts. And I'm pretty sure this is not what's in the book that Alana Fairchild wrote about this card. But I'm going to see what else I get about these shifts here for you here. I feel like there is a lot shifting astrologically for you guys whenever you're seeing this, or there's something going on soon. And it might have to do with Saturn as well. They're showing me Saturn. That's important for you guys, or like will be important for you guys. So I would kind of be paying attention to your astrology. and I almost, for some reason, I'm getting the phrase like asking yourself, where would things maybe go south, or maybe even where would things go north? Like, where could things be good? Where could things go bad? And like just kind of like prepare for those movements in the astrology. I know not all of you are into astrology, so I know that might be a little bit difficult for some of you compared to others, but that's one message for you guys. One of the main messages though is like, just know that things are going to be shifted, and it's very divinely orchestrated, much like, well, what's the best way to say this here? So if you don't feel like you're shifting, you will, is essentially what I'm getting. There's a bit more with this card here. They really want me to pay attention to the moon on this card, so what's up with the moon here? A weird recommendation for you guys, but there's a reminder just to maybe work with the moon and like to pay attention to the moon, work with the moon's energies. I suppose you could do moon water and things like that, but for some reason I would just take a second to get in tune with the moon and like, you know, the magic of the moon. The moon can sometimes symbolize things like psychic abilities, increased intuition, and a lot of people talk about having more, you know, certain intuition spikes with certain lunar events. I think we can always be fully intuitive and always fully psychic. I never want to limit myself to the astrology or what the moon is doing personally. I don't think you should either. But at the same time, there can be something to, especially if there's a lot of collective, what's the best way to say this? If there's a lot of collective mojo behind the moon spiking our intuition, it can be a good time to work with that energy and have our intuition spiked. But I feel like there's certain things the moon wants to tell you, and that could be in different ways. For some of you, if you channel, you can talk to the moon directly and the moon will talk to you. For others of you, you might just have to sit with the energies of the moon or drinking moon water and see what realizations come to you. It could be a million different things, but your magic is increasing, as came through in the general reading as well. And the moon might have something to do with that, essentially. So I'd be working with the moon and doing moon magic maybe as well. Also, another message, there's the stars in the background of this card. They're just saying the stars are aligning for you guys. So I do feel like there's either important transits or just something really important going on with how things are aligning for you guys in the next couple years. I'd really be doing your best to move forward and work on yourselves over the next year or so here, but especially the next couple of years, because I just feel like there's opportunities and stars aligning for you if you just kind of keep going with your path. And allow that to be redirected as the universe needs it to. I'm not too worried about it. That's just something they want to say for you guys. So it can mean different things for different ones of you, but the stars are aligning for you, fire signs, sun, moon, and rising. So you also you connect to the moon and work with it. Perfect. Also hugely affects. You're super affected by the moon phases. Affects your sleep. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm glad it resonates. I do get there's one more message for the fire signs, sun, moon, and rising before I move on to earth signs here. It is about good luck. So let's see what that is about here. One of the messages for you guys is not to discount luck and what it can do for you. I would be asking for luck. I would be maybe doing things to set the intentions for luck, whether it's a mantra, just I am lucky, or anything to increase luck for yourselves. And sometimes just setting the intention for good luck to happen just brings good things your way. It's another way to work with the universe, if that makes sense. And you could see luck as a frequency, as the way I like to look at it. It's like an energy, it's a frequency you can have or walk in, much like you can be in the frequency of abundance or peace or love or highest connection or anything else. That's a frequency you can work with to enhance your opportunities in your life, so you might as well just work with it, essentially is what I'm getting. But I would do something to bring in the energy of luck, essentially. But that's it. So I would just remember to look at the astrology for those of you who do that. And hopefully you guys are well versed enough in that to understand what's going on. I keep wanting to recommend booking an astrology session. My guides seem hesitant to have me say that, so I'll put that disclaimer out there. That might be something you can do if you're not sure how to look at that. Or maybe it's time to learn if you've been interested. The next signs here, so we're moving on to earth signs here. 1 second. Okay, so I'm gonna wave so I know when to timestamp the YouTube, when I post this to YouTube. So Earth signs, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I don't have as much prepped here for the rest of the signs as I did for the fire signs. So we're just gonna flow and see what comes through for you guys as I'm doing this reading. So Earth sign, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I did take a second to just check in on for the theme for like what would make your life better, or like what would help you to improve your life. For you guys, and this might just be a message for a great number of you, is like patience, interestingly enough. It's not a good time to rush things. So one of the big recommendations is like, don't rush things, be patient with yourself. It was just kind of a message of like rushing things might make things worse. So maybe you think like you need to make a job change and you're just like, all of a sudden you're like rushing to quit your job and to like put in all these applications, but it might not be the right time. It might be the right time to start considering a job change and moving the energies that direction. But the right new job might be a few months away, is one thing they're saying. So if you're rushing to like quit your job now, it might be more detrimental, like having to wait a few months, jobless or with a job that's not for you, and you have to explain to your wife or husband or partner why you quit your job. And it might be better to be a little bit patient with some of those adjustments than to like rush into them and expect them all to work out tomorrow. And divinely orchestrated things are supposed to happen. And even if you're getting a message to do something, it can depend on where you're at. Personally, for me, I feel like I'm guided on like the timing of things as well as like what I'm guided to do. So I might get a really cool idea or vision, but if it's not the right one to enact, my guides would be like, no, don't act on that yet. Or it might be like, I really want to quit this job, but they might be like, no, keep doing this job. Like, yes, you'll get out of it. Like, you're supposed to leave, but keep doing it right now. Like, but for those of you who might not, and some of you are probably there or very there. Some of you might be newer to this and might not be at that place, but it's just don't rush certain things, whether it's a project, a job, a relationship, or anything else. The other message was just like to strike at the right time. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the message the fire signs got, of like just striking at the right, striking when the iron is hot. But for you guys, strike at the right times here. There's a time to act and there's a time to rest, essentially. And you guys are probably being called to balance both right now, is something I'm getting, of like looking after yourself, but also taking action. It reminds me of the Temperance Tarot card. And I never pull that card. I don't think I've pulled that card in a long time now that I think about it. I mean, most of the time when I do readings, I'm not using cards anyways. I'm doing kind of what I'm doing. I'm just channeling the information, getting the intuitive information, however I do it. But I'm realizing I haven't seen that card in a long time now that that's coming up in my intuitive visuals here, and they're talking about it. But you're kind of being called to balance both. So there's a time to work, and it's probably when you're feeling energized and like you want to do it and you're feeling good. And there's a time to rest, and that's probably when you're feeling tired and that's probably when you find yourself forcing yourself to work when you don't feel like that's right for you or your body. So just keep that in mind right now. Earth sign, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So what else would be highest must as far as what would help you improve your lives, or what else do you guys need to know right now, essentially? You guys are also getting a message they're showing me a popsicle. The message is to enjoy your life, essentially, and to take breaks. I feel like that would help you improve your life, is something I'm getting. I know we're bringing it back. Rome wasn't built in a day. We're bringing it back. That being said, like sometimes it's tempting to just like work on your projects all the time and get them all done, like right now. And like you have to be at this place in your life by this age, and you have to do this or that by this time. You don't really need to. And the sustainable way to improve your life is to take breaks while you're working on things and do things in a sustainable fashion. If you're not taking breaks, you're gonna run yourself ragged, and maybe you'll get there, but then maybe you'll like die 2 years later because you didn't look after your body for the 10 years you were working towards your success. Or, not saying that's gonna happen to you, and this message is probably trying to prevent anything like that happening to you in the first place. But that's why it's important to look at life you can look at life however it helps you, but it might be helpful to look at life as a journey and something to do sustainably and something to ride along with, as opposed to like, what's the best way to say this? as opposed to, life isn't necessarily about climbing the corporate ladder, both literally and metaphorically. That can be an important, if that's fulfilling and important to you, that can be an important and fulfilling part of it. But, you know, the corporate ladder didn't exist like 100 years ago. It didn't exist 1,000 years ago. The things that were fulfilling in life probably haven't changed all that much for human evolution in the past couple hundred, few thousand years, is one thing I'll say. And I'm sure there are things that are going to be way more fulfilling and way more opportunities for a fulfilling life now and going forward. And I'm not discounting that corporate life for some people has been a huge blessing and game changer and helped them support families. Of course, there's good stuff and all that. But at the same time, what actually is fulfilling to people probably hasn't changed that much in the past like 100 to few thousand years. So you're kind of being reminded with that message of, you know, the corporate ladder or the grinds or that success might be a part of your fulfillment, but it's not ultimately what's going to be fulfilling to you. And I know this crowd that's tuning in with what I'm doing with the channel readings, you're probably not people who are all like, maybe there's a couple of you, but not all of you are really trying to climb the corporate ladder. And for some of you, that's probably the last thing you want to do. But take this as a metaphor for like becoming successful or like having this one super specific thing that you want. And it's totally okay to want that. And I totally encourage you to go for it. At the same time, sustainability and balance and what would be fulfilling to you, if that's helpful to hear. So what else would be high so much for me to bring through for you right now? So we have enjoying your life, sustainability here. Also grounding, earth signs. Some of you really need that. I would take the next week from whenever you're seeing this and just focus on being grounded. And even if your job calls you for you to not be grounded, for example, like, I mean, okay, I'm gonna go in a couple different directions and we're gonna get back to the message. For me, like, I have to show up and channel for people and be in channel mode. And that can be a slightly ungrounded process. For me, at the same time, I've found, is it possible to set the intention and make it so that you can be fully grounded and be able to channel and be fully connected? Yes, absolutely. I've done that and I know you can do that too. At the same time, there are certain times in our lives where it's okay to be ungrounded, and maybe that's even necessary for a process. For the next week, I'd be focused on being grounded or staying grounded as much as is feasible. And if there's moments you have to be ungrounded, like if you go get a healing session, just make sure you're grounded. Or if you're doing a healing session, make sure you're grounded afterwards, like before and afterwards. You don't need to stay ungrounded for the rest of the month just because you had a Reiki session, you know, or something like that. So it'd be really focused on being grounded. That would help you improve things. I feel like you'd also have a lot more realizations and a lot more ideas. And that's for things both regarding your health and success probably, and maybe even relationships. It would just help you realize good things to realize and help you regarding those things. I feel like it would also just help you live your life. I feel like if you've been finding it difficult for you to take action on the small things like vacuuming, they're showing me vacuuming or cleaning or just daily like tasks, grounding is gonna help you get back to center and like take care of life on top of what you're trying to build or what else you're trying to do in life, if that makes sense. And for some reason, there's this quote coming through, like, you might, if you think you're lazy, like, it might be possible that you're not lazy, you're just ungrounded. So, weird message, but I'll say it because that's what's coming through. So let's see what else is coming through for the earth signs, sun, moon, and rising. What else do you guys need to know? What else would help you improve your lives right now? So hopefully that is good to hear. They're showing me toilet paper, and part of the message is just to make sure you're prepared. Just with the little things, like just make sure you have food at home, make sure you have toilet paper, make sure you have paper towels and the essentials. But I feel like this is every area of life. It's like I would be trying to think ahead. This sounds like a kind of maybe it's a Virgo thing, but I'd be trying to think ahead and like prepare for things and just make sure things are like taken care of. Because I feel like that will support if you feel like you have a mission you're on, that will support your mission, that will support what you're here for, whether that's taking care of your kids or that's going to work. Just making sure these little things are taken care of are gonna help avert disaster is something I'm hearing. So I would just make sure you're prepared. I'd be kind of running through your checklist and making sure you have everything for the week, maybe each week or something like that. I feel like that'll be very helpful for you guys as well. So anything else for earth signs, sun, moon, and rising here? Grounding, exploration. For you guys as well, I know this kind of came through for the fire signs, but I am getting a message like there just might be a few like just left turns on your path, or just like things that even seem a little disconcerting, or you're just not sure where it's going. I'd really trust it. I feel like on the other side of it is new life, and actually what you've been hoping for and like dreaming for. And for some reason they're using this example of like they're showing me an island, and maybe you're like in this metaphor, this thing they're showing me, you're afraid to go out to this island. She's like, what if there's a bear? What if there are snakes? What if there are poisonous sea urchins and I step on one and die? You're for some reason you're afraid of crossing this like ocean. It's visible, the island's there, but going to this island. But it's like that's your new home is something they're showing me, and it's like if you don't go, like you miss out on like everything that's for you. But if you do go and you're willing to take these left turns in your path and go along for the ride, it's like everything you hope for is on the other side of those left turns. So be open to changes is what I'd say, and be open to the directions your path leads. It reminds me of the chariot that was in the general collective reading that I did before jumping into the messages for the zodiac signs here, where it's like, you know, you might not be in control of the chariot. Like the sphinxes are just taking the chariot wherever it's supposed to go, but the universe knows where you're going. So something disconcerting happens, maybe even if there's like a loss of income somewhere, I would trust it. You're going to be more than fine is something I'm getting. You're just supposed to go in a new direction essentially. I don't feel like you're going to lose a ton of income either. Maybe a slight loss, or a slight dip. So what else would be highest and best for you guys to know? Earth sign, sun, moon, and rising here. They're showing me the sun. I'm not necessarily the sun tarot card, but like the actual sun. They're singing that "Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow" song from that Orphan Annie show or movie or whatever it was. So let me see where they're going with this here. For some reason I'm getting the words like the sun has not gone away. And maybe you felt like you had like and by sun, I mean like, I think I am kind of leaning more towards the sun tarot card, like happiness, like joy, like fulfillment, like this is the best card in the deck. It's like, maybe you felt like you had a sun period and like, maybe you thought like maybe it's waning. I feel like it's not gonna go away. I feel like it's just gonna restart. If you feel like that's something you've been going through or something you've been waiting on, like there is more sun coming. And for some of you, or maybe even most, I get like the message like the sun hasn't even started. Like maybe the sun's like peeked through the clouds, but there's still clouds in the way of the sun. So in some ways the sun hasn't even began for you guys. So if you were worried about missing that or it's going away, it's not. I feel like it's actually just gonna like restart. So it's because it keeps showing the sun and it goes like to disappear and leave, and then it comes back, and it goes to like disappear and leave, and then it comes back. I feel like you guys have earned the sun is a message I'm getting for most of you tuning in here, which is good. So the sun will come. The sun will come out tomorrow, essentially, again and again and again. So don't worry about that. So they're showing me flowers next. So what's up with the flowers here? They're giving me the message in full bloom. I definitely don't. I don't always like using that word just because I know it's in my name. So I don't want to sound corny or anything, but that's the words they're giving me is in full bloom. So what's up with in full bloom here? That's the direction you guys are headed. Earth signs, sun, moon, and rising. It might take a month. It might take a second, but if you're willing to ride the waves, you know, at this time, you're going to be in full bloom and feel like things have never been better, essentially is what I'm getting. So anything else with the earth sign, sun, moon, and rising before we move on here? The next thing they're showing me is like, they're showing me just this row of just like different colored like drinks. And they almost look like they're in champagne glasses of some sort, or like, I'm not sure how to describe this. They look like fancy like glasses you drink some type of champagne or cocktail out of. They're like thin, they're kind of just like a cylinder almost on like a stem. And there's like, it's red, like the liquid is very red. But then like, there was like this countertop or this table, and there was just like this like gigantic row of different glasses like this with different colored liquids, like the whole rainbow, and then the rainbow repeats, and like all different shades of colors, and they're everywhere. And there's not just like 7, there's like hundreds. But one of the messages the message they're getting to with this visual is like, if you have a choice to make, and you're really not sure which way to go, like just choose one. It's not going to be wrong. And if it tastes bad, if that choice isn't the right choice, like there's always another choice. Like the other choices don't just disappear because you chose one glass. Like you can take a sip and test things out, and if you don't like it, just choose something else. So if you feel stuck on making a choice, just make a choice. It's gonna be fine. I feel like you'll make the right one too. So I think you're worried for nothing if there's like this choice between different jobs or things to do or things to work on, or people, even if it's relationships, just make a choice. Okay, so that's it. I think there's one more. They're showing me a candle. They're also showing me, it's interesting because I just rewatched one of the Thor movies last night. I think it was Thor 2, and they did have a Viking burial scene, but they're showing me a Viking burial, with the boat, and they set it on fire. So why are they showing me candles in a Viking burial here? One second here. So the message I get is like, it's time to part ways. So there might be certain things that are leaving your life or things you need to part ways from in your life. I feel like it's time is something I'm getting. This might be for a few of you, but take this as it makes sense, as it resonates for you. Excuse me, I'm gonna have to take a sip of water after this. So what do you mean something's leaving? It's just time to part ways with certain things in your life. And like part of the message is like, hey, like if you don't say goodbye to certain things, or if you don't let them leave, like, and you don't set the Viking boat on fire, like you just have this rotting corpse on a boat floating down a river. Like it's just, what are you doing? Is one thing I'm getting. Like, it's kind of like it's already dead. It might be a metaphor. So it's just time to let those certain things go. If certain things are trying to leave your life, it's time to like give them a proper burial and move on. Is something I'm getting. Hopefully that makes sense and you know what I'm talking about with that. I'm gonna see if they give me anything like, is there anything that would be good for me to ring through specifically about that? No, it's different for all of you essentially. So I'll leave it there. It's time to move on to the air signs. So give me 1 second here just to see where they want me to go with the air signs here. I'm also gonna take a swig of water. Okay. So yeah, thank you. I will wave so I know how to timestamp it. So this is for air signs, sun, moon, and rising. So give me 1 second just to set some quick intentions here. Okay, so air signs, sun, moon, and rising. This is for you when you see it, if you're watching this on YouTube after the live here. So this is, if you have an air sign, sun, moon, and rising, this is for you. And the question is pretty much, I'm asking, what would make your life better right now? What would help you make your life better, improve your life? But also like, what do you need to hear? What would be highest and best to come through for you? So fully for the highest good. What would help the air signs make their life better, or what would be highest and best for them to know? So air signs, sun, moon, and rising. One of the first things I'm hearing as far as what would help you improve your life is heal your soul. Now I want to get more information to describe that and what that even means, just so it makes sense and it's not so, just so it makes more sense to you guys and it's more actionable here. Really, for the air signs, sun, moon, and rising, I'd be doing everything you can to heal. They're showing you getting a Reiki session. They're showing you reading books on trauma to help heal trauma, not reading traumatizing books. And things like that. Like, it's really important you're taking time to reintegrate yourself, especially if you've been through any difficult experiences or you feel like you've had a difficult life in any way, shape, or form. It's really time to heal that. And the more ready you're willing to jump into your healing, I feel like the faster things are going to improve for you. Because I feel like it might be that certain wounds are one of the things that are holding some of you back, just like wounds from the past, wounds from exes, wounds from your parents. But if you're willing to deal with the wounding, you'll start acting from a healed place and improving your life automatically, essentially. And as we heal and raise our vibration, that can have outward effects automatically on its own as well in our lives. And that's kind of what you need, is what I'm getting for the air sign, sun, moon, and rising. That would help you guys a lot. So I'd be taking every opportunity you can to heal, whether it's booking a Reiki session, working on your healing on your own, or anything like that. So what else would help you to improve your life right now here? I would also just like focus, this is going to sound a little bit, hopefully it doesn't sound too obvious, but I'd be being productive. I'd also be focusing on being productive, and just make sure you're not lazing around is one thing I'm getting for you guys. I think I never want to discourage someone from getting the rest they need, but hopefully you know what I mean when this is coming through, where it's like it's kind of just a good idea to be productive, at least like half the time. And I would just focus on being like 50% more productive. I don't think you need to turn your life into like productivity mode 24/7 all the time or else. I'd say like if you just focus on being like 25 to 50% more productive, you'd be way happier because you'd be getting certain things done. And sometimes, weirdly enough, like when we're getting things done, we feel happier and just more fulfilled and more content because we feel like we're moving forward, or we feel like we took care of business. And sometimes like not doing those things is weirdly like just puts us further in a hole or a rut, essentially. So that's just a message I'm getting for you guys, at least for some of you guys. Some of you might be fine already. The next message, what else is coming through for you guys? Air sign, sun, moon, and rising here. Weirdly enough, one of the words that came through for you on how to improve your life was also wait. I would just kind of wait before you do anything, unless you really feel called to it, unless it really makes sense to do it and it feels light. I would be waiting before you do anything super drastic. Especially if it could be potentially devastating to you or someone else, is something I'm getting, interestingly enough. I would hold off. I'd be making calculated moves and not just like jumping because you feel like it, is something I'm getting. Like whether that's quitting your job or entering into a relationship, or maybe even leaving a relationship. I'd be just a bit more calculated about those things than I would like just, I don't feel like it and I'm not going to work or something like that. And that's just an example. It doesn't mean that's going to be you exactly, each and every one of you. So what else would be high so much for me to bring through for the air signs, sun, moon, and rising? One second here. So weirdly enough, they're showing me just water, but they're also showing you getting into a body of water. Weird message, and not something I was familiar with, but it's what they're saying. Sometimes like getting in water can help to like open up our chakras. It can help us to flow a bit more, especially like this isn't necessary for everyone, but the ocean, like with the salt water, that can be cleansing, that can be really healing and helpful in a lot of ways too. But I would be trying to just like get in water, weirdly enough. I feel like that would help you to heal, and that could also potentially help you reset as well. And I've heard multiple people talk about water being helpful to like help reset their systems or their energies a little bit. So that just might be something that's helpful for you. That's something they're showing me. What else would be, do you need to know here? The next thing they're showing me is like this water, and they're showing me this sign that says choppy waters ahead, interestingly enough. So let me see what's going on here and what they want to say about this. Pretty much what they're showing me is like the Six of Swords or something similar to that, like from the tarot. And the Six of Swords means improvement, essentially. And it's usually a message about getting out of choppy waters and moving to calmer waters. But usually when the Six of Swords shows up, like it can mean a bunch of different things, of course, when you're reading it intuitively or based on the channel messages you're getting. But sometimes when you have that card, you're still in the choppy waters, even if you're moving towards calmer waters. So there might be some choppy waters ahead just to look out for, but no, on the other side of that, I think things are very smooth. I don't think that's what they're showing me. Things are very smooth, essentially, for you guys. It's also looking very tropical in the visual they're showing me, because it's like you go through the choppy waters, then it's very smooth, it's tropical. I think that's when you get a break. So if you keep working right now, you're gonna get a break, essentially is what I'm getting, air signs. For some, well, let me see what they say here. For some, it might even be a big break of some sort, where either like a huge relief or something in your life, like it's kind of like with this break, it's almost like maybe sometimes there's something you're trying to accomplish, because they're showing it as like almost like you're trying to dig through a rock wall or dig yourself out of a cave, or like maybe you're trying to dig a cave through a mountain, but it's like you're trying to dig to the other side and trying to dig to the other side and trying to dig to the other side, and they're showing like a breakthrough, like you break through the other side finally. It's like that kind of a break where it's like a relief, it's like you make it. So for some of you that's coming in, or something like that is coming through. Also, like for some reason when it happened last week as well, but reading for the air signs, it just, for some reason it just seems with the message coming through like things might be not as great with just some of the ways the messages are coming through. So let me see if they want to say anything about that here. And for some of you that's the case, and for some of you that's not the case. It might just be the way the messages need to come through for you at this time whenever you're seeing this. But what would help you with that, if anything, here? One thing that they're saying might help you, because they're showing me, it's, you know, of course it's air signs, they're showing me a tornado, but they're showing me like a tornado, but they're almost showing like you need to like be the tornado, and the way they phrased it in words was like be the change. So it might be better for, instead of letting things slip by you, to like really, I know not to do anything drastic was one of the messages, but really do your best to be like, what's the best way to say this, guys? Do your best to be taking action, to be on it, to be the change. I don't know if I would be like waiting. I mean, wait, yes, before you do anything drastic, but I wouldn't be waiting to be the change as far as like, what are the things you can do to improve your health? What are the things you can do to heal yourself? What are the things you need to do to stay on top of the ball? Things like that. I wouldn't be waiting for those things is one thing I'm getting to help clarify that a little bit further. I feel like if you are focusing on being the change, that'll change things. I want to get more of an explanation. What does it mean for you to be the change, so it makes sense for you? So as far as being the change here, let's see. If you want more kindness in your life, like be kind. If you want more joy in your life, like start practicing joy and building joy, and like take 10 minutes that you schedule every day to like sit with your favorite drink and feel as joyful as you can, or at least leave space open for joy. If you want things to change, start changing yourself, essentially, is kind of what they're talking about, being the change, but that'll shift things. So I just want to see what else would be highest message for me to bring through for air signs, sun, moon, and rising. They're kind of, I don't know if this is helpful advice, and maybe it's just a mindset thing, but they're showing like a storm with lightning, but it's like they're almost saying like, yeah, be the lightning. Or it's like when things are tough, like be tough is kind of what they're talking about. And maybe it's time for you to bring the storm instead of feeling like you're stuck in the storm to your life in some ways, if that makes any sense. Especially to you changing things you need to change about yourself is what they're clarifying as well. I'm getting a weird message. Like I would be to not be lenient on yourself. I don't mean don't be gentle on yourself. And I definitely don't mean be hard on yourself, but it's kind of just like, you know how sometimes maybe we let like too much slip by? Don't do that. I feel like that'll improve your life if you're not being too lenient on yourself. Like I'd hold yourself to a certain standard. And I think you'll find things will really improve for yourself if you do that. So next message here. What else do you guys need to know? What would be highest much for me to bring through for the air signs, sun, moon, and rising? They are giving a message like things will improve, essentially. Right now, like I do feel like you're probably releasing a lot from your root chakra, or like especially like the lower 3 chakras are like important for you guys to look at, like root, sacral, solar plexus. So tiger's eye might be a good crystal, orange calcite would be a good one. But I feel like you're releasing a lot with the root chakra, and root chakras usually has to do with security. That can be financial security, security in a relationship, security at home, stability, feeling stable in life. I feel like a lot of that has been like a little bit rocked. So as long as you're willing to be aware of that and allow yourself to release and know it's temporary, I feel like that's going to help you to be okay as well. So anything else for you guys before we start to move on here? I feel like there's a lot more for you guys, so hopefully I'm hitting on everything that needs to be hit on, but what else? So I'm gonna disappear for 2 seconds and get at my tarot deck. They want me to pull some tarot cards for you guys. So give me 1 second to get, it's in the other room. I'll be right back. So I apologize for the break in the action. I'll be right back here. Okay, I'm back. So water, yeah, I have this coffee, which is the next best thing. I'll get more water in a second. Thank you guys. All right, so what else for the air signs, sun, moon, and rising that would be for your highest good right now? Hanged Man coming out here, which makes sense because I did get the message, like, remember that message, like, wait, like, don't do anything drastic. I feel like you're almost done with this. This guy in this card is almost tired of hanging from the tree that he's hung himself on. He's almost done with being, you know, having to have, because usually this card is like he takes a step back to gain perspective and clarity so he can move forward in a better way or something like that, or to figure things out. But I feel like this dude is pretty tired, or he's almost tired of hanging from this tree. Like he's ready for a change. So if you're ready for a change, you are going to have the opportunity to have a change coming up. Here is one message I'm getting for you guys as well. I also get this message, you've gained what you needed. He's kind of gained enlightenment, you know, hanging from the tree. I feel like for the air sign, sun, moon, and rising, like you have what you need. It just might not be time to move forward yet, but it will be soon. Like, so it might be time to take action really soon, in bigger ways, like maybe in a month or so is something I'm hearing, if you feel like it's not time for that right now here. I also feel like you're not stuck. You know, he's voluntary. He puts himself on the tree voluntarily. So I don't feel like you guys are stuck either. I think like it might have been a little bit difficult, but I feel like it's just kind of squeezing things out of you is the way they're describing it. Like it's, so what do they mean by squeezing things out of you? It's like squeezing things out of you like regret, squeezing things out of you like fear, like with the root chakra releasing, squeezing things out like things that don't serve your highest good, obviously, as the phrase goes, as the tarot readers say. Oh my gosh, like stop saying that. Okay, sorry, I'll stop saying that about that phrase. But so what else would be highest so much for you to know? So we have the Magician coming in here. The words I'm getting with this card are you're not done. Interestingly enough, with the air signs, sun, moon, and rising, like you're not done shifting and changing. And also you're not done in life. So if you are going through a difficult period, just know like you're not done. It's just part of the squeeze and the change that gets you to like the better place, essentially. It's also time to create is something I'm getting for the air signs, sun, moon, and rising. Time to create your reality and not let other people fill your mind with like BS is something I'm getting. And what do I mean by that? Like, you know, negativity, things like, they're saying like the word self-help. So I want to get clarity on what they mean by that really quickly here. Especially if you have people who always bring you down in life, or every time you listen to a certain person on YouTube, you feel like crap, or every time you listen to the news, you feel like crap. It's like, it's time to not let that influence your reality and you, essentially. It's time to not allow those things to get in your head. I would fill your head up with only what helps you, whether it's readings, whether it's Tony Robbins, whether it's, it doesn't matter. Whoever helps you essentially is what I'm getting to help you create a better reality. Because you can choose and create your reality. It's not just like, it's not like things are just how a certain person, what's the best way to phrase this, guys? You know, like someone might try to tell you the sky is green, for example, or the sky is some other color. But is it really? It's like you get to choose your reality or create your reality, if that makes sense. And it doesn't make sense to just buy that the sky is green, if that makes sense, like when the sky is blue. That's not really making much sense, so I apologize. Can I please get a message that will make sense for you guys on this message here? So one moment. Okay, I think I already said this, but the way they're clarifying it is like there are people who will try to steer you wrong or tell you things that are not true, so don't listen to them. Listen to things that actually help you. Sorry to overcomplicate that one. The other thing, probably the last thing coming through for the air signs here is the World card, and I'm going to censor it here for you guys because there's, for TikTok, because there's boobies. on the card. Can I even say that word? I don't know. The message with the World card for you guys, the first thing I hear is things coming back around, essentially. I would not take people back from the past unless it's really right as a message I'm getting for you guys, unless it feels like very light and totally for the highest good. I feel like it's time to move on. And I also get this message like you will get rewarded is something I'm hearing as well. So what's that about here? If you feel like you've done good things in the past, you will get rewarded for it is something I'm getting as well. But right now is just a time of working things out of your system so you can receive more from the universe. And that's kind of what you're being called to, is like receiving more, being open to receive. So if a friend offers you help and it feels right to you, receive it. If someone offers you money, receive it. Like, don't say no to things that are there to help you, essentially is what I'm getting. Because that is oftentimes, or always, the universe working through those things to get you something, if that makes sense. Because the universe is everything and is everyone, and it can work through anyone. So sometimes our manifestation comes through other people. Like maybe you need a car and your dad's like, oh, I have this, my friend just had this car that he gave me. Do you want it? It's like, yes, receive the car. Don't say no to the car just because you want an Audi instead of a Chevy. Like, receive the car. Like, you know, it's just kind of like the way they're phrasing it. So, but that's kind of it. I feel like there's like one more message for the air signs, sun, moon, and rising. They're kind of clarifying the message earlier. So hopefully this finally makes sense for you guys if it didn't make sense earlier, because it kept giving me these things like be the lightning, be the storm. And kind of the way they're phrasing it here is, if there is going to be destruction in your life, you should be the one causing it, not you waiting for it to happen. So if you feel like you're just waiting for a relationship to end, and you're waiting for a relationship to end, and you're waiting for a relationship to end, maybe sit with it and make sure it feels light and right to you before you do it. But it might be better for you to be being the one who's the storm, instead of like letting the storm wreak havoc in your life instead, if that makes sense. It might be better if it's by your choice than by like waiting and giving all, giving up all your choice and trying to like let everything else choose for you, if that makes sense. So I hope that was helpful for the air signs, sun, moon, and rising. I don't feel like I've completed this reading. I'm going to see if there's anything else they want to bring through before I move on to the water signs, sun, moon, and rising here. The word I'm getting for the air signs is completion. Just the word completion. Sometimes when certain things, and it's not always, but especially with like cycles is one thing that seems to notice. Like sometimes when cycles are wrapping up in life, or certain things are coming to conclusion, like that's when the difficulty arises, if that makes sense. It kind of reminds me of Mario Kart, if any of you are familiar, and if not, hope the description should still make sense. But sometimes in Mario Kart, you're in like first place and you're cruising towards the finish line on the final laps, you're about to win. And then all of a sudden, like 20 million things come flying at you to keep you from crossing the finish line. Like there's this item in Mario Kart called a blue shell, and what it does is it pretty much just like anyone in the course behind you can get this blue shell and send it ahead to like take out whoever's in first place. So like, maybe like you're on the home stretch, you're heading towards the finish line, and then the blue shell comes, it's like bam, and you're like, and then someone else throws this other item at you, it's like boom, and you spin out, and then it's like there's this likelihood that like 5 people could pass you because you keep getting hit by items as like you head to the finish line. I don't feel like that's actually going to happen for you guys, but the main message I'm trying to get across is like sometimes when you're trying to wrap things up, that's when the universe is trying to get us to purge and trying to get us to get to a completion within ourselves. And like there's a lot of things wrapping up, and it can be a bit more difficult as things come to a close as a cycle or something else. So you're kind of all coming up on a completion, and if you feel like you've been going through any difficult, that might be why. I never want to limit you guys, by the way, and say that always has to be the case. Can you wrap up a cycle and hit completion without a hitch? Absolutely. That can absolutely happen. Is that what I'm getting for what's happening for you guys right now? Not necessarily. So that's the way I'll phrase all of that. I feel like you guys need one more message, so what is that here? I'd also be just like allowing certain people, like just friends that you trust or people you trust to guide you and be like taking advice. Like try not to do everything on your own is another thing I'd say to you air signs, sun, moon, and rising. If there's someone you trust trying to give you advice and they've always been on point, essentially, like I would listen, I would take that advice. I think there's a time and place to be headstrong, and you might need a little bit of that, but not all the time. You know, everything in balance, I suppose. So anything else before we move on here? I'm so sorry, I'm gonna pull one more card here. King of Cups here. Weirdly enough, the word I get with King of Cups is stability. Usually King of Cups has to do with emotions and like emotional stability, but he is very stable despite all the waves going around him is a way I've seen this card read, which might be why that word stability is popping up. So what else is the message with this card here? So on the background, I don't think I've seen this before, but there's this fish on the background. He looks like this fish leaping out of the water, kind of. So I kept hearing the words "you're not alone" when I looked at that fish, and when I keep like looking at the fish. So what's the message with the fish here for you guys here? So the message I'm getting for you guys is like on the other side of completion is the reward, and they're showing like the fish on a dinner plate, essentially. Like that's the reward, like you get the fish, essentially. So if you feel like nothing's been going your way and like the fish has been slipping out of your hands and things like that, if you're willing to see this phase into completion, like the rewards start to come in and you start to get the fish coming to you instead of feeling like you need to try to catch a fish with your bare hands. Like you'll have the methods to like catch a bunch of fish in a net or something instead of just like, I don't know why you're trying to catch a fish in your bare hands in this visual, but that's what they keep showing me. Or not a bear, sorry. I don't know why you're trying to catch a fish. Did I say bear? I don't know why you're trying to catch a fish with your bare hands in this visual. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, I need to take a drink of water because I'm clearly just needing a second here. But I hope that helps air signs, sun, moon, and rising. I'm going to take a quick second just probably to ground a little bit and just to get some water because I just was getting all mixed up with my words at the end there. I'm going to drink this coffee. So quick, like probably 30-second water break. I'm going to be right back. Feel free to chat amongst yourselves. 1 second. I'm actually out of water. So water signs, sun, moon, and rising. We need to go to the store after this. Thank you, Rachel Marks. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate how understanding you guys are. So we're going to move on to the water signs, sun, moon, and rising. So I'm going to wave so I know where to timestamp it. So this is for you when you see it. And I like how my hair just kind of slowly gets out of place sometimes to do this. Oh, thank you. I got water. Ask and you will receive. Okay. So, I just had someone bring me water. Thank you. Thank you. So, water signs, sun, moon, and rising. I'm gonna wave, just so I don't want to timestamp it. This is for you when you see it, if you're seeing this after I do this live. Of course, one of the questions I'm gonna try and bring through or bring answers through for you guys is what would help you improve your life and what would help you improve your life quickly, but also what would be highest and best for me to bring through for you. What do you need to know right now? So fully for the highest good. What would help you guys out here? One of the things that came through as a theme for how to make your life better, it was like one of the only things I was, I channeled down ahead of time for the water sign, sun, moon, and rising, was pretty much like charge, but it was almost like, like they showed me more like people on horseback charging like into battle. It was just like a message of like move forward with your projects and don't let anyone else, don't let anyone hold you back. Now is the time to move forward and don't wait for anyone. So I want to give a bit of a just a balanced answer, because I know for some of you, if you had different placements in the other readings, you might be wondering like, how do I charge forward and wait, if like wait was one of your words and how to make your life better. So I'm going to try and bring this through in a way that makes sense if you like had some of the other readings that you just watched as well. So let me see what they bring through for you on that one here. It's like you can move forward on the things you know you need to do and be patient are the words I hear. You can wait on like certain major things, but no, like you really need to take care of building your website for your business or something like that. So it's important for the water sign, sun, moon, and rising that you're just moving forward and not like delaying your own projects is one thing I'm getting. Like it's just important to kind of be working on things right now. So I feel like that will help move you forward and improve things. So let's see what else they want to bring through for you guys here. What else would be highest? Much we're going to bring through for you, water signs, sun, moon, and rising here. The next thing they're kind of showing me for you guys is they're showing like this concept of water levels rising, but it's more like it's not necessarily totally positive the way this is coming through, because it's like you're kind of in the water and it's kind of like rising up to your face, where it might be more difficult to breathe, like the way the water levels are rising. So the way they're describing it is like you might have some pressure kind of building, whether it's like pressure to be successful or pressure to like get things done. One of the messages is like, don't take the pressure to heart, because like weirdly enough what they're showing me is like, on this water you can float, like you can breathe in deeply and relax your body, and like you kind of float more on the surface of the water. So it's kind of a message to like not let the pressure get to you, but just to kind of like flow with the water, because you can rise along with the water. If you feel like you have that pressure coming up or building, it's really just trying to squeeze you to victory is what they're saying. It's really just trying to get you to move forward, essentially. So well, hopefully that describes that. What else would be highest? Much I'm going to bring through for you at this time here. What else would help you guys out, help you to improve your life here? I feel like this came through for the air signs. It's also coming through for the water signs of just like receiving, like being open to receive from other people, being open to receive from the people around you, being open to receive from the universe. And I'm getting this message like, and every moment is a moment to practice receiving. It's weirdly, they're showing me like the concept of like being willing to receive your breath and breathing, like being willing to receive like the beauty that's in front of you when you're like driving home from work and like the clouds look really cool or something, like being willing to receive opportunities that come your way, or being willing to receive even gratitude of other people for what you do, or gratitude for, or people complimenting you. So every moment is kind of like a moment to practice receiving. I'd be very open to receiving and just like setting that intention to receive as well. And it could be as simple as like, okay, I open to receive in the highest and best ways. Thank you so much. I find it really interesting as well that there's so many people who talk about receiving as being a difficult thing. I think in some ways some of us do kind of get bludgeoned into being giving or feel guilty about receiving. But hopefully I kind of get that's something that's going away. I think we are starting to be taught, at least by the universe, a more balanced approach on that, and like how to receive, or it's becoming more of a focus for more people, because more people want to build abundance, more people want to have and live a better life. More people think it's possible or are waking up to the possibility that it's possible. So what's the message here regarding receiving? Is there anything else on that for you guys here? Just a message to like just to practice receiving, weirdly enough, if you can, if that makes sense, and just work on that, and that will just open you up to a better life and trajectory essentially as well. I feel like you're already on a great trajectory for the vast majority of you guys watching this, water sign, sun, moon, and rising. I feel like you're already on a good track. So I do feel like there's improvements ahead. So what does that mean for you guys? There might be certain instances where you're forced to take a break, regardless of this message to charge ahead. And it might be like in between charging ahead, you're forced to take a break, because they're almost showing like just like a breakdown, like a car in the shop or something like that as well. So anything else on that here? I would just go with the flow on that if you feel like you are forced to take a break or to slow down in any way. I don't think you'll be forced to slow down. I think you're going to be forced to take a break. But if you are forced to take a break, just go with the flow on that. Sometimes the universe is just tuning us up. It's improving us. It's kind of like that doctor's office analogy I gave in one of the other readings where me being forced to sit there like led to me just processing and integrating and having really important realizations. Like it served a purpose. So I feel like any breakdowns metaphorically you go through, or anywhere you're forced to take a break, is just actually leading to improvements and actually furthering your trajectory in a better way, not hindering or harming it at all. So let's see what else would be highest mastery to bring through for water signs, sun, moon, and rising here. Or what would help you to improve your life right now? Patience, of course, but I'm going to pull a card here. And as I pulled the card, they said, no, you were about to get the message. So one second, I'm going to get the message here. The next thing they're showing me are peaches, interestingly enough, like the fruit peaches. So where is this going, guys? One of the messages for you guys, and I feel like I've said this for some of the other signs, but I'll say it again, just like don't give up on like what you really desire. It's really important that you're still going for what you really want in life. It's important that you're kind of, at the very least, keeping that on the back burner if you ever have to take your focus to something else, because that's actually driving you forwards towards your destiny and to what's for you. And we have our desires for a reason. Sometimes they're here to teach us something. Sometimes they're here to lead us forward. Sometimes they're here to help us experience life to the fullest. But they're never really an accident. What we desire in life is one of the messages kind of coming through. It's meant to lead us forward. So I would just keep moving towards like your bigger desires, like your big goals, like what you really want. Keep moving towards it. Keep your eyes on the prize with that, and keep moving forward with that. Is something I'm getting as well, because you will have it, and that did kind of come through in the general collective message as well. Like Rome will be built, if you guys were here for that, but it's something just important to not give up on for whatever reason, because I feel like otherwise your life might actually sink. They're almost showing like if you don't keep going for like that goal or that dream, like your life sinks weirdly enough, or it's just like you just feel stagnant, or it's like it might take a lot more effort to get going again if you lose momentum towards like some of those bigger dreams or goals. And if you don't feel like you have momentum towards it right now, don't worry about it. I feel like you're on the shore waiting to kickstart off towards it. Like you're on the shore with your boat, kind of antsy about getting going with it, is the way they're showing it to me. So just keep that in mind as well. The card that I did pull for you guys was Seven of Wands, interestingly enough. I feel like you guys are way more intuitive than you realize. Most of you, you're way more accurate than you realize is something I'm getting as well. They're giving me the words fully accurate, which is good. So in some ways it's important that you're not backing down, especially if people start to steer you in a direction that's not right for you and you know it's not right for you. Trust yourself is what I want to say. Because like these people in this card, in this scenario, the message I get is like these people on the card are trying to push him off of the hill and get this person to do what everyone else is doing. But he doesn't want to. He wants to own his own business is the example I'm getting. It's the words they're showing me for this example. So it's really important he does not listen to everyone around him, because he's kind of earned his place at the top of this hill, this person, he's earned his right to go for what he wants to, essentially. And he's right, like he knows what he's talking about. So really trust yourself regarding like what to do with your life, and don't get pushed around by other people. Like I feel like your intuition is correct is like the message I want to give to you guys as well. I also get you guys are going to be getting an upgrade essentially, because they're showing me this tunic and they're almost giving me that rags to riches message again, where it's like maybe he's wearing this beat up old tunic, but it's like then he gets this like way fancier outfit essentially, or you know, your gender, the gender on the card and your gender doesn't matter. It's more just an example, you know, for the message. But he's getting like this upgrade to his tunic, and that's another thing they're showing me with this card. Not what this card means traditionally at all, but I just go based on what they're channeling through and what I'm getting, and what I'm getting intuitively as well. For some reason, I just found myself I had a couple cards behind it, just like opening them, and I just opened the Magician, so I'll take it. I get you guys need to create, and it's not just manifesting, it's literally like being creative, and creativity can show up in many different forms. Like creativity shows itself in business, it shows itself in even in like a relationship, and like it can show itself in a party. Like how do you decorate for the party? Who do you invite? Like what are you creating as an experience for these people? Like what food do you bring, or how do you have the food show up? I don't know. But it's just important that you're creating in some way. I feel like you might get stagnant if you're not creating, or it will help you get out of stagnancy if you are being creative. And sometimes just sitting and getting creative, even if it seems unrelated, though I think for you guys, what you're working on creatively will probably be related to your goals in some way, for most of you. Or at the very least some, like it does get a flow going, it gets the energies flowing. Also, you're just like, you're not wrapped up in like your logical thoughts and like what you need to do. Like you're in the flow with creativity, and that can really lead to just things flowing in your life more. And sometimes as you get that creative energy going, it just starts to amplify and kind of spread, and then you have that going in the rest of your life as well. Excuse me. So I would be creating, as a message I'm getting for you guys, water signs, sun, moon, and rising. They're also pointing my eyes to the pentacle on the table. I know like there's all the different suites on this card here. He's the wand, he's got the cup and the sword and the pentacle and the table. The table's not a suite, but the table is there. They're pointing my eyes to the pentacle specifically. They're giving me the word rich. So what is the message for you guys regarding that here with the pentacle and the word rich? For some reason, what I want to say to you guys is like, you do have the capability to be rich. For many of you guys tuning in here, like don't discount that. And there might be like lessons to go through along the way. There might be bumps on the road. I think one message I do get for some of you is like, sometimes you guys get down on yourselves because you're not where you feel like you're supposed to be or where you want to be. And they're just like, hey, that doesn't matter. Like 5 years from now, you can be exactly where you want to be, but you have to take action is pretty much what they're saying. So don't get down on yourself and quit just because you don't have the riches now. Like take it as inspiration and know you can get there. It's important. Again, you're not giving up on that peach. You're not giving up on that big goal. And I'm saying peach because I have this stained glass window here, and there's like fruit on it, and one of them looks like peaches. And sometimes when they have a message, they like point my eyes at certain things in the room and like tell me like the message regarding that thing. So that's part of where that peach message came through. So let me see what else would be highest enough for me to bring through for you guys at this time here. And I'll say it in case someone was like doubtful about that, but by the way, I'm pretty practiced with that being a way to bring through messages and readings, and it does always track, it seems. Whether I'm doing that in a personal reading or on the phone or on Zoom or on here, like that's always held up. It hasn't been like a random thing I just started doing right now. So 8 of Cups coming out here next. Again, I get the words don't give up, but what else is with this card here, if you guys hear? I feel like if you guys have had to walk away from a lot of things in the past, water signs, sun, moon, and rising, there's going to be a lot more things coming back around that are like the positive, upgraded versions of those things. So let me see what else I want to say about that here. You're about to get the refill is something I'm getting like in the next couple months from whenever you're seeing this. So what do I mean by the refill? It's kind of like maybe in the past you had to leave a relationship and then you had to move across the country and you lost a particular job and then you ended up working at Starbucks instead of I don't know, somewhere way better. And it's like the things you've had to leave behind are about to get refilled, but you're getting the better version of those things, essentially, the thing that's like more for you now, the thing that you were supposed to have. So if you feel like you lost anything or had to leave things behind or walk away from things, you're gonna get those things back in a new form that's better for you. And that's long lasting is something I'm getting as well. Like there's more longevity to it, if that makes any sense. You guys are also going to have fulfillment. One of the things about the 8 of Cups is he has 8 cups. It's like, it's pretty good, but it's not the 9 of Cups, which is wish fulfillment. And it's not the 10 of Cups, which is like happy home, happy life, and joy and things like that. It's like he has a lot, but he's like, there could be more. And so he's walking away from what he has to get the 9 of Cups, to get wish fulfillment, to get what he really wants. I feel like you guys will have fulfillments. I also get this message, things are not so dreary as they seem. This card looks a little bit dreary. He looks he's kind of like hunched over as he's walking away. It's nighttime, the moon is out here. this moon always strikes me as drawn a little bit weird, but whatever, that's not important. And even like the terrain looks a little bit rocky around him. It even looks a little bit uncertain. So, but I feel like it's not. I feel like things aren't dreary. I feel like you know where you're going and your refill is coming, essentially, especially where you've lost out in the past here. They're showing me a volcano next here. What's up with the volcano here? If certain things erupt in your life, whether it's with passion, whether it's with joy, whether it's with anger, whether it's with a relationship, this is probably going to be about your personal relationships or dynamics at work is something I'm getting. It's just leading you to better, essentially, is what I'm getting. It's actually leading you to new life. And, sometimes volcanoes are here to create new lands on Earth. Like they show up, they bubble up to the surface, and then you have a new island, in the ocean, and then trees start growing on it and stuff like that. Same with your life is something I'm getting. Sometimes it's just things erupt to give you a new understanding. They show up to give you new lands in life is something I'm getting, and it's leading you to better. So I almost get the message, pay no heed. It's like if things erupt, just be like, whatever. Like it's just they're erupting for a reason, and it'll end really abruptly too. Something I'm getting. There also, I'm being shown, I don't have a visual of a crane. They want me to tell you guys, so I'll tell you. I have these like smudges on my window, and it's slightly in the shape of a crane, and out of the corner of my eye, and it was more of an intuitive visual. There was definitely a crane there, and they gave me the word crane. So regarding the crane here, I want to see what the message is for you guys regarding a crane or a blue heron. So what's the message? One of the messages coming through is grace. Those birds can be very graceful birds when it comes to cranes or blue herons. So what's the message for you guys regarding that? If you guys feel like things have been rocky, they're just not going to be, is one thing I'm getting. If you feel like there's rocky terrain ahead, I feel like it's actually not going to be so bad. Like they're showing this path of light that shows up over the rocky terrain, so you have this smooth path of light. It's almost like a video game, how they just have like pathways of light that show up and you walk on them. It's kind of like that, like it shows up over the rocky terrain. So instead of walking on this rocky terrain, you're on this smooth path of light, and that's something I feel like you guys have earned, especially if you've been working on yourself or working on your life. I get a weird message, like sometimes the universe just takes pity on us and just gives us things. As well, especially if you've been like working really hard, and I don't think that's literal. That's just, for some reason, that's dropping in really quickly. So if you feel like you're working really hard on something and nothing's coming of it, something's going to come of it. And of course, sometimes we work really hard on things and there's a lesson where it's like, maybe it wasn't supposed to be our thing and it's not working for a reason, but the next thing we do takes off. And really blows up in a big way. And the thing that didn't work out, even though we put a lot of work into it, taught us all the things we need to know for that next thing. So there's other ways to look at it as well. But I feel like the universe is throwing you a bone is another way I'm getting that message here. So anything else that would help you guys improve your lives at all while we're still on the topic, while we're still here in general? Weird message. This might just be for some of you, but I'm getting this message to like pay attention to like starseed things or like galactics or like things like that. There might be certain like lessons in there for you, or just certain information that's important for you in your path regarding those things. And don't get taken for a ride. I think there's some like really important, legitimate things in all of that as well. It's not always what I gravitate towards, but I do really feel like it serves a purpose. And if I want to channel the Pleiadians, like I channel the Pleiadians, like I talk to them, they're there. It's another way to connect to source, is the way my guides always explain it to me when it comes to all the different methods one can utilize when channeling. But that being said, I want to see if they'll explain this a bit more so it makes more sense for you guys, as far as like a direct message for you guys. There's just certain things around the concept of starseeds or starseeds that are important, and they just want you guys to pay attention to that if it shows up, essentially, is what I'm getting for you guys. There's just something you probably need to hear regarding that. But that's kind of it for the water signs. I might pull one more card. The sun coming out here, definitely where you're headed. I also have that's what you need. So what you need is coming in. Pay attention to sunflowers as a sign regarding the sun, like good things are ahead. So this is what you need and this is what's coming for some of you, again, like I think the air signs, one of the other signs was going to get a break, but I feel like you guys are getting a break. But I also feel like you're getting accolades with this card is one thing that's coming through, like from people around you, from the universe. So I do feel like there are a lot of rewards coming in for the water signs, sun, moon, and rising. And the funny thing is there was the horse in the general collective reading. There also is a horse on this card, which I think is really interesting as well. I don't think that's very important. They're saying that's not important, but what's important is that this is coming, which is the best card in the deck. So the sun usually represents happiness, joy, fulfillment, all the good things in life, I guess you could say. They said no when I said that, so what? Rewind. What is it then for you guys? Happiness, joy, and fulfillment, and other good things. I guess I'll leave it at that. So I feel like you guys are on a really good trajectory. I'd keep at it. I feel like your life will also just improve on its own, is the way I'm hearing it, because I feel like a lot of you guys have done the work, or at least a certain amount of you have. But that's it for the water sign, sun, moon, and rising. I hope that was helpful and made sense, all these readings. You're welcome, Destiny. Daylight by Taylor just came on. Hey, I love that synchronicity. I feel like there's at least one more message for everyone here, and we might do some, we might do some Reiki infused guitar healing if anyone wants to stick around for that as well, just for like maybe 20 minutes or so. Oh, we'll see how long. Ooh, excuse me. Excuse me again. But I want to see what that last message for everyone here is before we kind of part ways here. I might do, they're kind of indicating like a full channel mode message, so I might just go full channel mode and just directly channel my spirit guides, the angels and source, and see what they want to bring through. They are showing me a rainbow, so I'm getting this is about a collective uplift, but also like the shifting that's going on within you guys. So I'm gonna drink some water. I might just take a second to get into full direct channel mode, and then we'll see what comes through for you guys. So let's see, there's the rainbow, the collective shifts. So this might be shorter. This might only be like 5 minutes or so, but that's okay. So give me 1 second just to, they're saying I don't need to set intentions, but give me 1 second just to kind of get in the zone. Drink a little more water. Okay, so fully for the highest good. Here we go. And in case anyone just wants to know, a fun fact is my spirit guides did give me the name for themselves, the Angelic Collective of Zorbital. So if you want to know who I'm channeling, I know typically I just say spirit guides, angels, and source. I feel like that's more digestible than me saying, I'm going to channel the Angelic Collective of Zorbital today. But it's the Angelic Collective of Zorbital and source would be who I'm channeling for this. And any other angels, for the highest good of the true highest light to jump in can jump in. So fully for the highest good. Give me 1 second. So just give me 30 seconds. And they'll start talking here. Welcome to this live, to this day where you are at a great turning point on Earth. And we know we say this pretty frequently, but the message today is on hope and the rainbow that is being built for each of you to connect with Source more fully and more greatly. Where there is a concept in certain mystery school teachings known as the rainbow bridge to source, which is a bridge that connects with the crown chakra and the upper etheric chakras and connects up to source to allow beings to channel and receive channeled information. And that is what you are all in training to right now, is this upgrade to the Antakarana, as some people say, or that rainbow bridge to source. For each of you is meant to connect more deeply with source. And there is hope coming for each of you. And right now what is needed is more connection with each other, benevolent connection, more connection with the divine. And each of you is inherently connected. And part of the energetic encodement with this message is the remembrance of your connection to Source and the inherent connection to all that you are. This is meant to uplift your channel, to help you to entrain to a higher vibration, and help you to entrain to all that you are. And right now, that bridge is being built for each and every one of you. And in the future, you might find that your channel becomes more open and begins to work more. Not just because of this message or because of what we are doing today, but because the universe deems it so. It is time. It is time for humanity to become a more connected race. And that is where each of you is headed. You are each a puzzle piece in the collective. And each and everything you go through is important. Every experience, every loss, every betrayal, every joy, every hope, every decision. It's all leading to something. In this lifetime, in the lifetimes of your offspring and future generations, in your future lives, should you reincarnate. And many of you will. All of you. Everything is leading to something, so do not discount your importance on this earth, even if you are just playing with your dog outside, even if you are just watering your garden. It's important that that garden is there. And when it's gone, it's important that it is gone, because everything has that importance to it with the way humanity is headed. Even you just becoming a smidgen more connected to Source, to yourself, to your soul, reconnects everyone in grand ways. Even you just healing a little bit upshifts the collective that much. So it is important that you are open to that at the right time for you. Open to being more connected. Open to being who you are meant to be. And you do not need to be there tomorrow. You simply need to open to the possibility of allowing it to happen. And if you are willing to do that, you are opening up to the willingness of the collective to do that. You are opening up the willingness of the collective to heal. In the future, healing will occur way more quickly than it even does now. And many of the ills on your planet do not even need to be here. Many of the mental illnesses, many of the systems and structures that impede progress for humanity, impede compassion. Many of the things that cause competition instead of connection. Yes, they serve as lessons and ways to grow humanity, but at a certain point, the lesson is not needed. At a certain point, the illness is not needed. So what you might find is illness leaving slowly in your lives, in the collective. And we do not necessarily mean strep throats or other diseases. We also mean mental ideas. We also mean emotional unwellness. We also mean things like disconnection are leaving. There are many more things like illness than just illness. And what is happening now is a rapid healing of illness, especially in metaphysical terms. So if you find yourself releasing a lot, even becoming physically ill, you are helping to release illness from the collective, and you are likely grounding in new information of wellness. So how can you invite in wellness today and in your life? How can you invite in a healthy life? for that will invite in more connection for you and the world. If you are willing to heal, the earth is willing to heal. The collective will heal. So again, it is important to just be open to being more connected, to be open to being healed, to be open to being yourself. And watch as the collective shifts as you do. Watch as that one ask you make for yourself for more joy shows up for everyone else. Watch as you upgrading upgrades your family. Watch as you healing your relationship with yourself heals your relationship with your friend. Watch how you shifting your mental patterns shifts the mental patterns of everyone else. For the more you are willing to shift and heal, the more everyone else does. You are now being reconnected to all that you can be. You are now healing your hope for the future. For the possibilities for the future are grand. The possibilities for what can be created are grand for yourselves personally and also for the world. So do not limit yourself to what you see in front of you, in your life and in the world. Do not limit yourself to what you've known, but instead invite in the highest possibilities. Invite in the highest connection. Allow Source to show you. If you allow Source to show you what's possible, there are no limits. And you can simply use mantras such as, I open to the highest possibilities. I ask Source to show me the highest possibilities. I ask Source to lead me to the highest possibilities. I ask to be the highest possibilities. For you are on the shore of change in yourselves and your connection. And if you are willing to move into the waters on your boat and cast off and take that journey, you will find yourself in a higher place than ever before. More connected, more healed, more awake, more alive. And the more you are willing and allowing to have more life force energy flowing through you from Source, cackling through you, expressed creatively in your manifestation and how you live, the more you are waking everyone else up. The more you are allowing them to take their journeys. So again, do not discount your journey and the impact it has. You are important to this collective, and every choice matters. And you are all being led in the right ways. So do not give up on your path, on your journeys, whether it's channeling, whether it's feeding your kids, whether it's abundance, whether it's your dogs. Do not give up on taking care of what you need to take care of. Do not give up on yourselves. Do not give up on your goals unless you are really guided to. There is something around the bend for everyone. If you are willing to go through these shifts and connect more, you will find your life improves like never before. And that is the message, that you are connecting more than ever, that illness is leaving, and that you matter, and your life matters, and you came here for a reason. And if you didn't, the world would be different in ways you can't imagine. The ripple effects you have here are endless. They are healing. They are shifting and growing and changing people. So be the best you can be and watch the world change. That is it. We leave you with that energetic transmission. And you may find yourself feeling more connected after this in big ways. But we will let you discover that. Take care and enjoy your life. And may the best find you with ease. Farewell. You're welcome, guys. I hope that was good. You're so welcome. Whew. Oh my god, your username is awesome. Well, it's by awesome I mean it's hilarious. But Mima tits out my bong water. The words being spoken by you are honestly healing. Like just sitting here listening feels healing. Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. And that's a big part of channeling, especially like directly channeling, is the energetic transmission that goes along with it from source to the listener. There's a lot more to it than just the words are important to me. I feel like the words are important and usually they matter as well, but the energy is really can be also where it's at, and like a really important part of the channeling is the energetic transmission and the healing that comes along with that, and the shifts and changes that can come along with that as well. So it is more than just me bringing the words through from source and my spirit guides. It's also the healing that comes through, the energies that come through as well, and the vibration, the high vibration. It was very informative and helpful. Awesome, I'm glad to hear it. You're welcome, guys. I appreciate you guys so much. Awesome. That's 222 Eastern, heck yeah. Yeah, you're welcome, guys. I'm glad that, whoop, I feel so whole after that message, thank you. I so needed to hear that, thank you. You're welcome, guys. That means so much, and that's fulfilling to me to hear that, and it means the world that is helpful to you guys. Otherwise I wouldn't do it. But thank you guys, I appreciate it. I'm glad it means the world that was helpful to you guys. So awesome. So I'm going to just take a second we're gonna switch gears a little bit, and we'll do some guitar for a little bit here, and maybe just 20 minutes, and just powerful experience. Glad to hear it. And that's part of why I love channeling, and facilitating that. So I'm gonna just switch to some guitar and some Reiki, maybe to help integrate, maybe just to help with whatever else would be for the highest good. I might have to take a second to tune my guitar, I apologize. It's so helpful, I needed to hear that. I'm so glad, thank you. I'm so glad, thank you for telling me. That means a lot. Okay. Ooh, can you explain a TikTok concert? Heck yeah, I need to get some plugins so I can like do guitar and it sounds better and it's not just the phone microphone. I think that would probably boost the quality a lot for you guys. Explaining Metatron, 4.4 likes here. That's a good sign. Synchronicity. Metatron's cube, I can do my best to explain it. My understanding is it's a sacred geometry, and it represents, or it's supposed to represent, all of the building blocks of the physical universe, like with the geometries, like the circles, and there's a cube in there. There's a lot of, like, the Merkabas in there. There's a lot of good geometries in that. I believe the flower or fruit of life is supposed to be represented in that as well, if I'm not mistaken. That's really the gist of the understanding. As far as like other things I've heard about it, there are certain people who will use that symbol for energy work, just different practitioners. It's in different modalities and methods as well. Like there's a I think there's a crystal Reiki healing course I went through at one point years ago, and that was one of the symbols utilized. And there's another friend I know who does certain sessions, and one of the important parts is calling in the Metatron's cube to help cut certain cords in her process. So there's a lot of different things you can do. I think it can also, there are certain like just more fear-based things I've heard about it. I always get those aren't true. I guess like full disclosure, like some people are like, oh, Archangel Metatron. Some people will say, and this is not what I get is true, I'll tell you what I get. Some people in the comment section when they've seen that in my TikToks have said, oh, Archangel Metatron is a fallen angel and he's using Metatron's cube to do XYZ bad thing. I always get that's false. I also get there aren't any fallen angels or negative angels or anything like that. And Archangel Metatron is not fallen. Beyond me getting that information, I also know a woman who channeled a whole entire healing modality from Archangel Metatron, and it's definitely for the highest good in healing. It's not doing anything bad. So my experience and my channeled guidance, my divine guidance, really disagrees with anything weird and fear-based like that personally. Are you depleted or energized by the channeling? It really depends. I think I usually you're bringing a lot of energy through you, like a lot of divine energy. So usually I feel pretty energized when I'm doing full channel mode like that. I think it can depend on the circumstances though, but I hope that makes sense on the Metatron's cube. You might want to Google it. So, okay, I'm gonna grab my guitar and we'll jump into what that might be. Okay, so I feel like there might have been something else I was supposed to talk about before I jumped into the guitar here. Okay, I'm just gonna take a second to tune my guitar. I didn't totally plan for this happening. I just kind of got the message, so let's see. Oh, we're not bad. I think it's good. I don't want to mess with that too much. So I'm going to just take a second to just set some intentions. Do you personally remember what you channel, or is it like you are in a different subconscious state? So I am there for, I know some people when they go in a trance, they don't remember anything. I am there as the messages come through and as they're speaking through me, and sometimes just give me the words to say as I'm saying them. But it's more them speaking directly through me. I'm there for it. I remember some of it. I tend to forget most of it afterwards. Like I'll listen back to a channeled message and I'll be like, oh, that was pretty good. I don't remember saying that at all. And sometimes that happens with the readings as well. Like I'm not directly channeling my guides, but I'm doing readings like I was for the signs. I won't always remember every single thing that came through. So sometimes it's a surprise when I go back and re-listen, but it's usually always good. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. Oh, hey, Bob Bear, how's it going? So I'm just going to take a second just to set some intentions and just ask that this is, of course, fully for the highest good. So give me 1 second here just to do that. So, of course, you can just take a second to relax. You can just set the intention that only energies that are for the highest good to get to you, to be a part of this for you are a part of it for you, that just receive what's for the highest good for you to receive. So pretty much I will be a conduit of the Reiki energies and the energy work energies. As I'm doing this, also it should just flow with the music. It's also infused with the music as I'm playing in other ways for the highest good. So This will be fully for the highest good. I'm just asking the Reiki to flow along with this music from source to you guys who listen, fully for the highest good. Just do whatever would be for the highest good. Doing only work that's for the highest good and bringing about the highest and best outcomes for each of you. So fully for the highest good. I'm gonna take 1 second and then I'll start playing. Okay, I think that's it. I hope that was good for you guys. I think I need to practice a little bit more. Can you please do a 10-minute video and put on TikTok playing guitar? Absolutely. Yeah, I'll write that down. I'll definitely do that. Just do a, that's a good idea. Yeah. You're welcome, Papa Bear. You're welcome, guys. I hope that was good for you. I'm just going to ask that, of course, you know, Reiki or healing energies that, you know, energy work energies that flow to you for the highest good. Just, should you want it, should it be in your highest good, just continue to work until any shifts and changes that are for your highest good are completed, and may all of that be for the highest good going forward. So, it was beautiful. Breathe the energy in it. Amazing. Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Sweet. But that is it. Yeah. That's it for the live. I hope that was, of course, an amazing experience for you guys. So healing. Perfect. Perfect. And that's the idea for sure. But I am wishing you the best, absolutely. Whatever the best for you guys is, the best for each of you respectively. And I'm wishing you a great rest of your day and week. You know, of course, I guess I'll do some, if you want to book a reading with me, that's available through my website, but never apologize for imperfections, only as an experience. I appreciate it. Thank you. That's a good perspective. I appreciate it. All right, but you guys have an amazing week. It was a joy to do this, and I booked. Awesome. I'll talk to you soon. I will talk to you guys next live or in the future, and you guys have an amazing week, okay? Oh yeah, thanks Destiny. I have a book. I do have a book, Spirit Guides, Angels, and Speaking with Source. It's just a channel. Yes, and thank you, Maria. Thank you to Destiny and to the moderators who helped out. I know I didn't look at chat very much for this live, but I am absolutely sure you guys made it a good experience and helped keep everyone up to date on what sign I was on, and or what element I was on, what message I was bringing through. So thank you so much to the moderators, and they do it by volunteer, so everyone, please send some love to the mods or some gratitude. Send them a prayer of abundance or something. Oh, I appreciate it, Destiny. So you guys rock, and you know, all of you rock. I always appreciate getting to do this for you. So I will see you next week.